That's dumb. This is dumb. This whole thing's dumb. I quit this episode. I'm done with this thing. Fuck this. Hey, I'm Blake.
And I'm Dave.
And this is First Prize Films, the podcast where we each select a genre-specific movie separated by at least a decade and pit them against each other to find out which film wins the coveted title of First Prize. What does that mean for us, Dave?
So it's like the Apple terms and conditions. No one cares.
Aw.
Today we are chomping our way through these zombie movies. And I made Blake watch Train to Busan, a movie where a father makes up for being inattentive to his daughter by putting her directly in the middle of a zombie apocalypse.
And I made Dave watch 2002's 28 Days Later, a film that made me sign a legally binding DNR so I never have to wake up from a coma and run around Los Angeles naked. You're fucking welcome, world. So we are into October, Dave. It's the spookiest time of the year.
Spooky!
We decided we're going to do a slate of horror-related films and genres all through October. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
So this week, obviously, we're doing zombie stuff. What made you choose Train to Busan?
Well, I don't know. I had never seen it. I've seen most other zombie movies, but I've not seen this one. And lately, the past few years especially, the Korean directors are fucking killing it. So I was like, man, fuck it. Let's do this. Because I liked World War Z. That was an option. But I said, you know what? Let's try Train to Busan.
Right on. And I've heard it's great. I've heard about this movie, and I haven't seen it. I've been diving into Korean cinema a little bit more as well. Right. So I was really excited to see that. I chose 28 Days Later, mainly because I hated it, which sounds like a bad excuse, but let me be more specific here.
Okay.
I saw it partly once and when I was probably 13 years old, like a year or so after it came out, and I was like, this is boring as fuck. And it did not capture my interest, and so I stopped watching it. I don't ever think I finished it, but now that I'm older, people still talk about this movie. It's still referenced a lot, and I like the director, Danny Boyle, and I'm like, you know what? I think this film deserves a fair chance for me as an adult with more mature eyes behind it. So I was really excited to see how this plays out now, and I'm not gonna lie, both of these movies are really great, and I can't wait to talk about them with you.
I know, me too. And what's great is that there's been plenty of zombie movies throughout the years.
Sure.
Zombie TV shows, zombie everything.
Yeah.
But something that makes 28 Days Later special is that it did something that other zombie movies never did. So that's why I think you kind of have to do 28 Days Later when you're doing it.
No, for sure. And again, people still talk about this thing a lot. It's still referenced a lot. I think it was a touchstone of zombie horror that kicked off a new wave of zombie films that hadn't been going on beforehand.
Yes.
So I guess on that note, let's just hop into it, yeah?
Yeah, let's fucking do it, man.
Woo!
Movie 1, Train to Busan, 2016.
All right, Dave, give me the synopsis for Train to Busan.
After a father is guilt-tripped into going to Busan because his daughter likes mom more, they find themselves smack dab in the middle of Fuckville as the zombie apocalypse hits while they're on the only mode of transportation that can't make a fucking detour.
I didn't even think about it that way. That's the fucking truth.
So, disclaimer, this is a South Korean film, which means there isn't a single word in English.
Nope.
It also means I'm going to butcher the fuck out of everyone's name.
Oh, yeah, dog. Me too. Together, we will shame an entire country.
And ourselves. So,
Mostly us.
We open to a mini box truck being stopped by a quarantine checkpoint to be, sprayed down, and an irritated middle-aged man yells at the worker because he's a Karen. Well, actually, it's because he's going to be late, and he gets distracted by his phone. He hits and kills a deer, right? So he gets out to inspect the damage to his truck, fuck the deer, it says, as if anything else could go wrong. Apparently, they haven't heard of jinxing yourself in South Korea.
And this goes to show that people in South Korea, in different parts of the country, we all have the same problems, right? We all hit deer. Yeah. We're all late as fuck for everything. So it's just, I feel right at home here.
Relatable, totally. So he takes off, and the dead deer starts jerking around like a video game glitch before standing up with cloudy eyes. Title card.
Listen, I didn't know much about how this whole thing was going to be set up going into this movie. We got zombie deer, Dave, in the matter of a couple minutes.
Right.
I'm fucking in.
타이밍에 저희가 빠지면 남는 사람들 건 전부 휴지 조각 될 텐데요.
So now we're with our main character, and again, I apologize, Suk-woo,
I believe in you.
played by Gung Yu, in his office, surrounded by cubicles, which is the actual scariest part of this movie.
It looks horrifying, Dave.
So then he's arrived home, right? And he's arguing on the phone with his ex-wife, which is the second scariest part of this movie. And they're arguing about their daughter, Suan, coming to visit her in Busan. As he gets into the apartment, he walks to give Suan her birthday gift that he's already given her earlier this year, and she guilt trips him into taking her to Busan because he's such a shitty dad.
Cute kids lay down the biggest guilt trips, and rightfully so, because Suan deserves way better than this. That girl's too damn cute.
Right, exactly. It's the least he can do for giving her 2 Nintendo Wii consoles. I mean, even 1 Wii console is too many.
부산 엄마한테 가고 싶어요. 네.
After Suk-woo watches Suan bomb her recital at school on a video camera, we cut to the two of them in his car, like on the way to the train station, because he totally is taking her to Busan now.
That's good.
Suk-woo has to slam on the brakes for a bunch of emergency vehicles, and then they just sit in the middle of the road, which I'm sure won't cause any traffic at all.
It seems like it's like 2 a.m. or something. It gives this like eerie feeling, not just because it's dark, because there's an entire fucking building on fire next to them, you know?
Now that we're on the train, we slowly meet all of our relevant characters moving forward, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to blow through them real fast.
Let's do it.
So we have the quiet one, Min Young-go, who is part of a baseball team, it looks like. Min's love interest, Jin-hee. I hesitate to say girlfriend, though, because it's like she's like giving him shit for not asking her out yet. But to be fair, he is a guy, so maybe it's that thing where he's so dumb he doesn't realize that she's serious.
I relate to this guy. I'm a fucking idiot, too.
Same. We also have 2 elderly sisters, one of whom is eating a hard-boiled egg, which is the perfect train snack, honestly. A South Korean billionaire who is the COO of some transportation company, I'm assuming the company that owns the train they're on.
Yeah.
A homeless man muttering to himself that everyone is dead. And finally, we have the burly badass, Sang-hwa, and his pregnant wife, Sung-gun. Suddenly, a disheveled woman ninjas onto the train when the ticket collector guy isn't looking, because somehow he didn't see her coming in an entirely empty train station.
Dude, she just like just comes out of fucking nowhere and just like rockets herself into the train. And the guy turns around, he's like taps the train on the side like, this baby's ready to go.
Pack it on up, boys. Anyway, her leg's got a wicked bite mark with black lines spreading underneath her skin, which I'm sure is perfectly normal.
Cut that shit off, dog. Go on.
Also, she panically ties a tourniquet above the wound, because that'll work. So as the train starts to move, Suan sees someone jump on the ticket guy, because, I mean, I'm guessing he just needed a refund. But she can't tell her dad because he's asleep faster than a caffeine addict who forgot their coffee.
Rip.
So after Suan is told twice to find a different bathroom, we see the injured woman staggering throughout the train before she falls over and starts convulsing. And then a lady train attendant finds the injured woman and calls for help. But the injured woman dies and reanimates.
Listen, I'm not a medical expert here, but my guess is this is a bad thing. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see how this plays out. It's probably going to be fine.
What happens next is she bites the fucking train attendant.
Oh.
Moral of the story, helping people will cause a zombie apocalypse.
Only look out for yourself and kill everybody who is around you.
여보세요?
김대리.
팀장님, 이거 생각보다 심각한데요? 그 밤사이 벌어진 게 안산만이 아니에요.
Suk-woo is woken up by his buzzing phone, and it's his work associate, and we find out that what they thought was a simple protest is actually worldwide because no shit, it's zombies. While Suan finally gets to the bathroom, the train attendant is giving the freshly turned zombie a piggyback ride through Jin-hee's and Min Young-go's train car. Bedlam ensues as now 2 zombies start attacking everyone.
Can you imagine being on this train, though, and the train attendant with a screaming woman biting his neck just runs down past you, and everybody just kind of looks like, the fuck was that?
Fuck. I'd be off the moving train.
I'd be like,
I'm out.
Put me to sleep. I'm done.
Min Young-go is Babe Ruthing zombie skulls as Jin-hee stays close and everyone else runs like the NPCs in Grand Theft Auto after you steal a car. So the non-zombie attendant starts to evacuate the neighboring cars as Suk-woo is looking for Suan. Too little too late, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Suk-woo watches as zombie attendant forces her lifestyle on non-zombie attendant. And right as Suk-woo is in the zombie's crosshairs, Suan emerges from the bathroom and picks her up and body slams another zombie aside like it's a weird rugby match. Now the chaos quite literally falls at the feet of Sang-hwa and the pregnant Sung-gun, and Sang-hwa traps one of the zombies in the bathroom like it's a rabid raccoon, and Suk-woo carries Soo-an right past the couple into the car with the sisters and the Korean billionaire who tells Suk-woo to get the door.
I guess what other plan can you have when you're on a fucking train going 150 miles an hour with zombies? What? I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't have the answers here.
Suk-woo lets Sang-hwa and the pregnant Sung-gun into the car after initially shutting the door on them, which is like someone asking you to hold the door on the elevator and then you don't, and they get there before the door closes anyway.
It's so awkward.
So they realize that the zombies don't know how to open the door and that they only attack because they can see people. So Sung-gun paper maches the glass door like it's an impromptu art project, and the zombies stop trying to attack. Must be nice to be only able to focus on what you can see and not literally a bajillion things at once.
That was straight up the right answer, though. When they started doing that and plastering the paper, I was like, I'd be so goddamn dead. It's unbelievable. I can't express that enough.
I would like to think I'd last a little bit longer.
Maybe.
Probably not.
우리 열차는 열차 사정상 잠시 후 진입하는 천안 아산역에 정차하지 않습니다.
Now the conductor comes on over the intercom saying due to the situation at hand, the train won't be stopping at their next stop, which I can't pronounce, and Korean billionaire finds a random comms unit and like a Karen on steroids or Caroids tells the conductor to make the next stop. Got it?
And while this is going on, like, it's kind of cool to see the little TV on the train car, and it's telling you, like, essentially the entire country's just going to shit. You see all the different places, so it kind of gives you a bigger, like, worldview, as opposed to narrowly what's happening on this train.
Right. So after Suk-woo has to hear his mom turn into a zombie over the phone, the train suddenly slows as people are getting attacked and turned, like, through the windows. And, as you said, someone in charge comes on the TV news, and Eddie expositions the hell out of us.
전일 서울을 비롯한 도시 곳곳에서
He tells us that due to the heavy air quotes protests, the country is in a state of emergency, and in the same breath says, nah, it's probably fine. Okay, dude, is the country on fire, or is it just a little hot?
It's weird the way they're... I mean, nobody's going to go straight to, hey, there's a horrible zombie outbreak.
Right.
We're all fucking dead. But, like, also...
I would.
When you have actual people biting each other and, like, you're showing footage of it, like, man, these protests are getting wild, dog.
Right. Maybe find a middle ground. So now the conductor comes on the intercom again and says that they're stopping at the next stop because the military is deployed there and will secure the train. Yeah, because when the military is involved, everything is totally fine, nothing to see here.
It's going to be great.
Suk-woo is skeptical because the government told everyone it's fine, which, like I said, and he gets on the phone with his associate again and finds out that the military is going to quarantine them. And instead, they make a plan to avoid the military and go their own way, which, like, not having to leave the house or work, sign me up.
I'm fine with that.
So after the train stops at a completely abandoned station and everyone disembarks, Korean billionaire tries again to Karen the conductor and force him to uncouple the engine car and just fucking bounce because this city is closed off, but Busan is still open. So the conductor is like, yo, we got to tell people because he's not a rich asshole and actually cares about other people.
기관차 몇 명 탈 수 있어. 우리 이거 띄워버리고 부산까지 기관차만 갑시다. 이걸 떼자고?
This is going off the rails. We're kind of starting to see how different people are reacting to this whole thing.
Oh, so it's going off the what?
Rails. Yeah.
You did a thing.
나도 그쪽으로 가려고.
저쪽으로 가야 메인 광장이에요. 그냥 사람들 따라가시면 돼요.
그쪽이랑 같이 가려고.
So as everyone is walking through this ghost town of a train station, Suk-woo takes Soo-an through some closed off areas when the homeless man spots them and is like, nah, fan, I'm coming with you because I don't want to be quarantined.
Smart. This guy's smart as fuck.
Soo-an tries to go tell the others and Suk-woo tells her that they're on their own and she body slams him, metaphorically speaking, and says, you only care about yourself. That's why mommy left.
아빠는 자기밖에 몰라. 그러니까 엄마도 떠난 거잖아요.
Dude, I started clapping alone in my apartment, like, yes, girl, you get him. Your dad sucks.
But also, not only are children scary, but apparently they're savage as fuck, too.
Emotionally devastating children.
But now the other shoe drops, not only for Suk-woo, Soo-an, and the homeless guy, but everyone else too. The military have all been turned and they start attacking everyone because no one saw that coming. And just as Soo-an is about to get murked, Sang-hwa throws a big muscle elbow and saves her.
Sang-hwa is like the fucking real MVP.
Right.
Even up to this point, this dude is amazing. And the banter he has with his wife,
yes.
I love this dude.
After Min Young-go and Sang-hwa get a bunch of people to safety behind some glass doors, false safety, because the fucking doors shatter like the spirit of a sports fan whose team lost the big game.
Aww.
And people reboard the train as zombies are coming from all directions, including above. So Karen Billionaire forces the train attendant to make the train leave before everyone is back on.
Karen Billionaire. This guy sucks more and more with every scene.
Right.
And like he shows no signs of slowing down.
Min Young-go and Seok-woo hop on the now moving train as Sang-hwa uses his brute force to knock aside zombies before he too jumps onto the moving train like he's Korean Captain America.
Love it.
Captain Korea. So now our characters are separated by cars of zombies, right? Seok-woo, Min Young-go, and Sang-hwa are safely in one car. Karen Billionaire, one of the sisters, and Shin-hee are safe in a second car. And finally, Suan, Sung-gun, and the other sister, and the homeless guy are in a third car.
It's like an Oreo of zombie trains.
Which is the worst kind of Oreo. Well, worst kind of Oreo behind the white ones.
Oh, those are an abomination.
So one of the doors separating the girls and the homeless guy from the zombies has shattered, and they all have to quietly cram into both bathrooms for safety, like kids at a sleepover hiding from their parents when they've stayed up too late.
Or just me in my bathroom from the demons outside my door. Go on, Dave. I'm out of medicine.
Wow. After the conductor tells everyone they're heading straight for Busan now, Sang-hwa calls his wife to hear them in trouble, like on cell phone. Mm-hmm. So Seok-woo and his two new friends strap into makeshift battle gear and fucking plow their way through to help their friends and family like the Three Musketeers, but with zombies, or the Three Zombeteers.
Disney's The Three Zombeteers.
Yeah, but can you not say their fucking name?
Oh shit, we're gonna get sued again.
In the middle of their 4-car melee, the train passes through a tunnel, and the zombies get confused and stop attacking like a kid when you play Peekaboo. Mm-hmm. So they distract them with noises and sneak off to the next car, where Seok-woo has a brilliant idea to use Sang-hwa's phone as a distraction for the next group of zombies because he is definitely smarter than me.
He's smarter than everybody, most people.
So once the Three Zombeteers get to their friends and family, Min Young-go sends a text to Shin-hee.
근데 내 친구인지 뭔지 감염됐는지 안 됐는지도 모르는데.
He says because they don't know if the other group are infected, they can't be allowed in this car. Shin-hee pleads with the train attendant and he stays quiet because of course the rich guy gets what he wants. But also, kind of good point. So the Three Zombeteers and their friends and family sneak their way up to the main car by using the darkness and the luggage compartments overhead to sneak past the zombies.
Yeah, so every time they go into like a tunnel or something like that, and there's like the flashing lights from the tunnel,
right,
it confuses them, and they don't have their sensory stuff about them, so like you can kind of escape and move around them.
Right.
Which kind of means that this disease is like super epilepsy? I don't fucking know. I don't know. Pure speculation.
Zombilepsy. So when they get to the main car, they find that the door has been tied shut. But, they couldn't close themselves off from the zombies coming at them in time. So Sang-hwa is trying to hold the door almost closed when one of the zombies bites his fucking hand. Ah! God, every time I start to like someone, they have to go and catch a zombie.
Do you need some of my medicine, Dave?
So now the zombies break through, and Sang-hwa literally throws himself against them to hold them off as Min Young-go smashes open the tied door with his baseball bat. Finally, Min Young-go and the rest of the rescued people win the tug of war with the next door and finally get to safety, but only because one of the sisters also sacrifices herself to buy them more time. Or she's like, nah, my feet hurt, I'm gonna head out.
I don't blame her. Those bunions gotta be just creeping up on you, that pain.
So Seok-woo fucking decks Karen Billionaire with a move that can only be described as Fist of Justice and just starts screaming at him. Why did you do it?
We just do it!
I'm glad Seok-woo has finally like elevated emotionally, because the whole time all this shit is happening, people are getting their fucking intestines ripped out, and he's just like, right. Oh, man, this is probably bad.
He's the whole time he's just like, this is disconcerting.
Yeah, I don't feel very good about this.
But when he does this, it kind of backfires because Karen Billionaire goes into survival mode and screams that Seok-woo is infected, turning the entire car against all of the rescued people. I'm just saying, and I'm only going to say this once, this guy needs to get skull fucked by karma.
Dude, straight up, call Rob Zombie. He'll know what to do.
So the entire car gets mob mentality and screams at them to leave. Well, go to a different car. So then they, as in the mob, ties the new barrier door shut, and the remaining sister is as pissed at this mob as I am and goes fucking nuclear. She goes, what a load of shit. And opens the door to the zombies because fuck the patriarchy. But also, leave it to grandma to dole out some fucking karma.
Bro, that was such a power move. She's like, fuck these assholes. We're all going down.
So now in apparent safety, Seok-woo and the remaining survivors just kind of sit around. But Soo-an tells Seok-woo that she practiced the song from earlier just for him, and since he wasn't there, that's why she couldn't sing. Talk about kicking a man in the metaphorical sack while the zombie apocalypse is going down.
Good for you, Soo-an, because your dad sucks. Yes, he's working on it, I guess, but don't let him off the hook until he's done the work.
I mean, that's twice now. She's fucking metaphorically body slammed his ass.
Good for her.
부산은 초기 방어에 성공했대요.
확실해? 어디서 얻은 정보야?
팀장님, 이거 유선 바이오에서 시작됐대요.
After talking to his associate again and finding out that Busan has succeeded in initial defense and that the zombie apocalypse was started at one of the companies that they manage, which is not the kind of corruption I was imagining, but anyway. The train comes to an abrupt stop because another train is strewn across the tracks like a derailed toy, and the conductor comes over the intercom to let everyone know his plan is to find another engine to use and urges everyone to join as quickly as possible because apparently we need encouragement not to get eaten, but go on.
It's called motivation, Dave. Got to remind people.
But also, Karen Billionaire didn't get eaten because this asshole is hiding in a bathroom with the sole surviving train attendant. Well, not for long anyway, because he pushes the attendant at the zombies so he can make his escape like a true villain. Sorry, rich person.
It is so unabashedly shitty, and he doesn't give a fuck. He literally saved this guy's life so he could use him as bait later.
Right, exactly.
Oh god, ruthless, this motherfucker.
Seok-woo and his crew of survivors make their way to the new train when a random train engine comes roaring in on fire like a mouse out of a bonfire and slams into the train next to them, knocking it over slightly, separating Min Young-go and Jin-hee from the rest of the survivors. And after running away, the young couple is trying to break the glass on a stuck train door when Karen Billionaire comes running in and throws Jin-hee to a zombie. Man, even the Joker isn't this villainous.
This right here is the moment where I'm like, I'm gonna find this fucking guy. I'm gonna find the actor who played this guy and punch him in the goddamn face.
So Min Young-go throws the zombie off of her, right? And Karen Billionaire finishes breaking the glass to escape while Min Young-go cries, holding Jin-hee. Well, until she turns and bites him. Ah, stupidity. Sorry, love.
Is the most tragic love story. He sat there and took the fattest L.
As Karen Billionaire takes off running toward the now moving new engine, he sprains his ankle, which feels like Karma was just tired at this point, and the conductor runs to save him.
Stupid.
Big mistake, because Karen Billionaire throws the only guy who knows how to operate the engine to the zombies chasing him before making it onto the engine.
It's like killing the pilot of a plane. Be like, haha, oh shit.
So while this is happening, Seok-woo comes to in a gap underneath the knocked over train car, which is filled with zombies, by the way. And it's starting to tip over like a drunk guy telling his friends he's fine, and it forces the survivors to crawl underneath. But some of the glass breaks and zombies fall into the gap with them. So the homeless guy fucking sacrifices himself to save Soo-an and Sung-gun because everyone wants to die at this point.
This homeless man who has just been a ride or die, well, literally, from the very beginning. And he's just like, I'm taking this one for the team.
Because there's a lot of selfless people in this movie. Well, aside from one. Now Seok-woo, Soo-an, and Sung-gun are sprinting towards the engine as hundreds of zombies chase them like they got the only TV on sale during Black Friday. But they fucking make it. But the zombies have latched on and are being dragged along, creating a bridge to the engine.
It is literally all these zombies holding on. It's like a sweeper car, like the old timey, like the clear brush off the tracks and shit. Like it's just, but it's people.
I was thinking it was an inner tube off of a boat on the lake. It's an inner zombie tube.
Oh man.
So Seok-woo is like, nah, fam, and kicks the fucking latched on zombies free of the train. So then he approaches the engineer's compartment. Karen Billionaire turns to face them, and he's mid-zombie turn.
엄마가 집에서 기다려요.
I wanted to see Karen Billionaire get bitten.
Yeah.
I wanted this dude to explode into a million pieces.
Unfortunately, zombie Karen gets loose and tries to attack Sung-goon. Not today, douchebag! Suk-woo grabs him by the face because now he chooses to stop being smart and gets bitten on the hand before he finally throws the zomdouche off the moving train.
Suk-woo had no choice, though, let's be honest.
He could have grabbed his neck.
Or
the back of his collar.
He did what he had to do in the moment. Wasn't the best choice.
So Suk-woo pulls the girls into the engineer's compartment and shows Sung-goon the brake, which says brake right on it.
In English.
Before turning to Suan and telling her to stay with Sung-goon because it'll be safe in Busan. But she interrupts him and says, "Don't go, it's my fault."
그러니까
가지마! 내가 잘못했어.
Man, I just got something in both of my eyes at the same time.
Suan's like begging and screaming for her father, like legitimately brought me to tears.
Yeah.
Her performance here just literally made me cry.
So now the crying Suk-woo runs out of the compartment, shutting the door behind him before he starts to turn, and has visions of him with Suan as an infant, and the saddest piano music I've ever heard plays in the background. Then he smiles a big toothy grin and yeets himself off the train.
Fucking rip, dog.
Right. So finally the train makes it to Busan, where there's a burning barricade with bodies littered like trash at a venue after a music festival.
Good sign.
And Sung-goon stops the train and leads Suan past the burning barricade through a tunnel where on the other side a military guy has them in his sights. It's like, uh-oh, he's gonna fucking shoot him.
터널 맞은편에서 두 명이 접근하고 있다.
This had me so anxious. This whole movie had me anxious, but go on.
Right. Thanks to Suan finally singing the song from the beginning all the way through, the military guys realize that Sung-goon and Suan are survivors and yells, "Survivors approaching!"
생존자 접근 중!
And like 50 military guys appear out of nowhere like birds from a bush and run to help Sung-goon and Suan as she sings the last line of the song, "Until we meet again." Roll credits.
Who, but also those military guys? How did they know the zombies hadn't evolved already into show zombies?
In a span of a couple hours. They're theater zombies.
Just saying.
I was expecting it to be a pretty good, like, action-packed movie. I didn't expect it to put me through all the fucking emotions.
Legitimately, it's non-fucking stop. Like, I was hoping for a good film, but this thing really delivered. Like, the stunts are really great.
Yeah.
The arcs feel really fleshed out and real. The cinematography is really good and dynamic.
Fantastic.
Like, especially for a movie mostly set on a fucking train.
Right. Exactly.
And the zombies, the zombie actors are fucking good, dude.
They're fantastic.
I'm a fan of this movie, for sure.
I just also really appreciate how likable all of the characters, aside from the fucking zomdouche and the mob that he brought with him, really were in this movie. I mean, everybody that makes it almost to the end is like, you're just really rooting for him.
You see everybody like really come together and fight to the end, and it's great, man, and it's really great writing. It's a very tight film for as long as this thing is. It's almost a 2-hour movie,
right?
Which is really fucking long for a zombie movie.
It's very long.
It doesn't feel overwrought or drawn out in any way.
No, I mean, honestly, it feels great.
Yeah,
I liked it. I liked every moment of this movie, even the frustrating parts.
Yeah, and there were some frustrating parts.
Very frustrating. Karma just waited a little too long, in my opinion.
Too goddamn long for my liking.
It's like Karma was on a cigarette break.
That bitch clocked out.
Well, do you want to go ahead and get into 28 Days Later then?
Dude, I have some things to say about 28 Days Later. This is quite an experience.
I'm telling you.
Movie 2, 28 Days Later, 2002.
All right, dude, that one was a journey.
Yeah.
Let's fucking start the next journey with the synopsis of 28 Days Later.
After a chimpanzee who watches entirely too much television infects the human race with the virus, a man wakes up in a hospital to find London completely devoid of life, except for, the zombies that are fast enough to compete at the Olympics. Watches our main character meet some friends, travels the countryside, and settles down with some military buds who are totally cool and aren't deranged whatsoever.
Fucking accurate.
This movie does my favorite thing in the world and just hops right into it.
Right.
But a couple things we have to note before we get started.
Sure.
This is a film directed by Danny Boyle, who you may know from movies like Trainspotting or Slumdog Millionaire or 127 Hours, if you ever saw that.
No, I did not.
But this was also written by Alex Garland, who directed another film we have coming up this season.
Oh, okay, cool.
We open to an array of TVs playing violent and distressing videos to a chimpanzee strapped to a table, which is pretty much my exact relationship with the news.
Right, and what could go wrong?
Exactly. So, luckily for us, there's a group of people, Dave. They're breaking into this facility to rescue our hairy buddy and the rest of his laboratory monkey mates.
Keep your shit together if you want to get him out of there.
Too bad some fucking dweeb in a lab coat shows up. He's ruining all of our fun and warns these monkey bandits that the animals are infected with a terrible virus.
They're highly contagious. They've been given an inhibitor.
Infected with what? Infected with what?
Rage.
Bitch, what? Rage?
What kind of stupid ass idea is this?
Like, rage in the emotional sense, because me too, but also, like, if you're telling me the name of this virus is rage, then I quit this movie. It's stupid, and the premise does not hold up for me. The good news, though, is the bandits don't listen to Mr. Labcoat or his stupid-ass science, and they let the chimps get away.
I always knew PETA would be the end of the world.
I don't know if I agree with that, but it's definitely not helping in this case.
Please don't come for us, PETA. I was joking.
Now, to our casual listener, that last clip we just played, that's the sound of someone getting their fucking face ripped off by a chimp. Enjoy that tonight in your dreams.
Yeah.
But guess what happens next? The virus is in their blood, the monkey's blood, and the saliva, and the woman who got bit starts throwing up blood immediately.
I'm sorry!
Shit is hitting the fan, and within the span of like a minute or so, she starts growling and her eyes turn red, and she attacks her cohorts. Like, have they even tried the whole Snickers commercial trick?
Jeff, eat a Snickers, please.
Why?
Every time you get hungry, you turn into a diva.
Now we cut to the title card, which conveniently doubles as actual information about where the plot's going. 28 days later... ...
Right.
We hard cut to an abandoned hospital room where Jim and Jim Jr., played by Cillian Murphy and Cillian Murphy's penis, wake up.
How is it that this guy was left alone in a hospital? Do zombies only attack conscious people? Can you play dead and not get bitten? Are zombies like bears? I had too many questions.
There's so many fucking questions, but no time, Dave, because we're moving on. We're moving past it. He's alone, he's confused, and he has a sick new haircut revealing his stitched up head wound.
Hello?
Can you, imagine, though, waking up naked, alone in a hospital, no one's in the building, and the first fucking thing you do is drink a warm-ass Pepsi from the floor?
I was gonna say.
It sounds terrible, and also everybody's probably dead. Dressed in his Sunday best surgical scrubs, Jim hits the abandoned streets of London. They're littered with trash. Nobody's around.
And honestly, this is a nightmare of mine, the completely empty city, but also kind of a dream scenario. I'm a little conflicted.
I know. Well, these shots of an abandoned London are iconic for a reason. It's super eerie, and there hasn't been any score or any music playing since Jim woke up.
Right.
Which adds to that haunting starkness of the entire environment.
Yes.
I haven't mentioned this before, but this film was shot entirely on digital video, which is why it looks so shitty. It also allowed director Danny Boyle to coordinate shots like this, like the abandoned city shots, super quickly.
Yeah.
I also think that look adds to the overall tone of the film, but it takes a minute to get used to.
Yeah.
And I think this is why I fucking hated it when I first saw it.
Right, I agree.
Now, Jim, still full of warm Pepsi, continues wandering through the desolate streets of London when our first piece of music starts needling its way in quietly. It's a perfectly doomy and swelling song by Godspeed You, Black Emperor. Jim encounters missing persons flyers and newspaper headlines about some kind of an evacuation, and it's pretty damn clear what happened at this point. The rapture came and his ass got left behind.
Right. But honestly, he seems a little shocked. Where does he think everyone went? A collective beach trip?
The whole town band together, saved up their rainy day funds and took a little trip out to the coast. So to further that whole scenario, though, Jim walks into a spooky church. The pews are littered with dead bodies, though, so...
The church is enough nope for me, but it's full of dead people, and he goes further in?
He just keeps going. He just keeps going.
What are you doing?
He saw this atrocity. He's like, yeah, I'm going to keep looking around.
Hello?
As Jim attempts to address all the corpses, two people stick their heads up and their mouths are open, and it's pretty goddamn scary looking.
Yeah.
So Jim gets the fuck out of there and runs into a reverend who is looking and acting all sorts of messed up.
Are you okay?
Does it look like he's okay, Jim? Jesus, bud.
No. Why are you so slow at this point? Like, I get you just woke up from a coma after a head injury, but, well, actually, no, that makes sense.
Yeah. Luckily, Jim does get his wits about him. He cracks the Reverend over the head and he escapes. He's chased out of the church by these things, and for the sake of ease here, I'm just going to call them zombies from now on. So he gets chased by the zombies, but much to his and my heart doctor's delight, he's found by a couple of non-zombies who Molotov cocktail their way to safety in the underground.
Well, I mean, what problem can't be solved with Molotov cocktails and blowing up gas stations?
Now we're talking. We all saw Escape from New York. It's the perfect scenario. Come on! Now, in the underground, we finally get a little context as to what the fuck is even going on here. Jim was a bicycle courier who was hit by a car, knocked into a coma, and he woke up in the hospital. Our two new friends are Mark and Selena, who have scraped by and survived the whole month while people just started casually eating each other.
It was a virus, infection, or something in the blood. By the time they tried to evacuate the cities, it was already too late.
Jim is the first uninfected person they've seen in like 6 days, and basically everyone they've ever known is dead.
Right.
So, welcome back from your coma, Jim. Everything sucks.
Imagine waking up from a coma and hearing that everyone is fucking dead. How disconcerting would that be?
I'm laughing, but it's more of a laugh of unease and terror.
We'll take you to mother. We'll all go and find your dead parents together, okay?
So Selena and Mark decide to accompany Jim back to Jim's parents' house the next day so he can see for himself what's going on. Sure enough, Jim's parents are dead.
Right.
They left him a note that made me actually well up. It's devastating.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read it here because I don't want to cry again. You're welcome, Dave.
They died peacefully. You should be grateful.
Great.
No time to cry, Dave, because Jim is flashing back to his 8mm memories of his family, and then, a zombie home invasion happens.
The zombie B&E.
A zombie crashes through the glass and attacks Jim, and one drops in from the skylight. These are tactical zombies, Dave. This scared me so fucking bad because, like, right before it happens, there's this, like, crazy half-a-second long zombie POV shot, before it breaks through the glass.
Yeah.
And you have no time to really do anything. It just happens. It's startling as fuck. And it's really loud, too.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Mark and Selena hop in action, and they take care of these two zombies in, like, grotesque and appropriate fashion.
Right.
But something's wrong. Mark's been bitten.
Wait.
Selena did not hesitate for an instant to be a fucking savage.
Dude, she hacks Mark to death with a machete immediately.
Right.
Once the infection hits, apparently, you have 10 to 20 seconds to kill that person before they turn, which, Dave, I said this in the last movie, I'd be so fucking dead. Day 2. It's over. We're all dead.
And get dressed. We have to leave now. More infected will be coming.
So our tag team head off into the city, and they notice a tower block where a single balcony is strung up with blinking lights. I mean, I guess if the world's ending, I'd whip out the eggnog and decorate too.
I was gonna say, they forget it wasn't Christmas.
We've already seen tactical zombies, so who says there aren't, like, seasonal decorator zombies out there, Dave? This feels like a trap is all I'm saying. Now, Selena and Jim, they get to the tower block, and they're walking up the stairs toward the apartment, but guess what, Dave? You're not answering. It's zombie time!
Down the corridor, flat 157.
They get chased up the stairs until a middle-aged man in riot gear and his daughter let them into their apartment right as the zombies approach. The father and daughter are named Frank and Hannah, and they seem pretty chipper for a family who regularly battles zombies because they immediately serve them drinks.
This is such a weird moment where you're like, there's the awkward pleasantries like you're meeting your boss's family while drinking crème de menthe.
Oh God, I know. Count me out. I'd rather just be sober. Says Blake,
right.
Which, what a weird sentiment.
No, it isn't much, but, well, cheers.
Later, Jim and Selena get comfy, and they have a little talk that establishes some of the fundamental differences between them. Selena, she's a mover and shaker. Mm-hmm. She'll leave anyone behind who is slowing her down, whereas Jim...
I wouldn't.
Then you're going to wind up getting yourself killed.
So are we just going to blow right past the fact that Jim decides to shave and cut his hair?
Yes, because I don't acknowledge it because I think his post-coma look is my favorite look.
Because, like, also, what's the point?
For me, it's kind of like when Metallica cut their hair in the 90s, and I just couldn't respect them anymore.
Jim, we're not going to be able to stay here.
So the next day, Frank tells Jim that they're running low on supplies and they can't stay in the apartment too much longer. Mm-hmm. He uses like a wind-up radio to listen to a hopeful broadcast coming out over the airwaves.
Oh my God, soldiers.
Quiet, there's more.
Again, let's just hope there's no FM zombies out there monitoring the airwaves, Dave.
Honestly, though, I'm not sure I trust this fucking broadcast because it says the word salvation. And anybody who's trying to sell you salvation, not really a good person.
Now our found family, they hit the road. It's a road trip movie now. Unfortunately, they drive immediately into a dark tunnel, littered with broken down cars and get a flat tire, so I guess we're back to a horror movie.
Right.
Now that we're here, though, I think the brilliance of this movie does lie in the pace of this thing. It has a way of kind of lulling you into this sense of security when, like, all of a sudden, zombie hordes! This fucking horde of the undead comes chasing after our crew as the daughter, Hannah, she struggles to finish changing the tire.
Right.
Make the teenager change the tire while three grown-ass adults sit in the fucking cab like, bitch, hurry up!
Come on, dude!
Come on, honey! They get away just in the nick of time, but seriously, this gave me so much anxiety.
Right.
And as luck would have it, they drive past a grocery store that is completely untouched.
It's a conveniently untouched store. It's a convenient store.
Like, there's not even footprints on the floor in this place.
No.
Like, it's bad infomercial clean. There's lights on and everything, and compared to how gritty this entire movie has been up until now, this feels like a surreal dream scene.
Right.
So they stock up and they hit a gas station where Jim has to kill a zombie tween, but then they're in the clear.
I mean, Jim, can you not fucking go exploring right now? Like, come on, timing, my guy.
He walks in there for literally no reason and then has to murder. I don't know if it's murder, if it's a zombie, because I don't know what the laws are regarding zombie rights.
Zombie rights. My name is Saul Goodman. If you're a zombie.
It's getting late. Think we better stay here for the night.
Now our found family, they settle in amongst some old ruins where Selena and Jim get a little alone time.
I was wrong when I said that staying alive is as good as it gets.
You stole my thought.
Aw, if Jim and Selena can find love in the apocalypse, Dave, there's hope for me yet.
Sure.
Yeah, probably not. Anyway, after some mild pharmaceutical drug use and Jim's crippling nightmare, we're back on the road the next day with Manchester in flames on the horizon. It's pretty creepy.
I like how there's finally a realistic view of how a highway would look at this point, which is completely fucking empty. Because in every other movie, there's people like trying to like panic and leave, which doesn't make any fucking sense because they wouldn't have time. This is a super realistic view of how a highway would look.
Oh, I thought you were being completely sarcastic.
No, I'm being 100% serious.
Good point, Dave.
Must be Manchester. Whole of Manchester, the whole city.
So they follow the radio broadcast to the military destination where it appears completely abandoned.
Oh, you just missed them. They've gone fishing or something.
Frank.
We have to go.
Yeah.
Go fucking where?
Regardless of that tone, man has a point.
Right.
Frank wanders around trying to cool off when he decides to yell at a bird for being a prick. But in a super shitty twist of fate, a dead body like stuck in the rafters of the military blockade, it drips a single droplet of blood that lands directly in Frank's eye.
Get the entire fuck out of here.
Are you fucking kidding? Oh, God. He knows it's over, too.
Keep away from me!
Dad?
Keep away from me!
Jimmy's infected! No!
This is Jim's problem, I guess, and he reluctantly approaches a writhing Frank with his fucking Louisville Slugger when... It's the military, kind of. Men in fatigues, they shoot Frank to death, and I gotta say, why in the fuck did you wait so long, dude?
They must have been waiting for this exact scenario, I guess.
But like, I mean, talk about a goddamn dramatic entrance.
I repeat, 1 male, 2 female.
These military folks, they take the remaining 3 to their fortified compound, an old-ass mansion that is 100% haunted based solely on the exterior shot we're given. When we get here, we get to meet Major Henry West.
Who is smarmy as fuck.
I hate this guy. And his troops, who all seem nice enough, if not a little goofy. Jim gets a tour of the haunted mansion, and we get to meet another special guest.
Meet Mailer. Got infected 2 days ago.
Keeping him alive.
And eventually he'll tell me how long the infected take to starve to death.
You can't tell from the audio that we played, but Mailer is a chained-up zombie in the courtyard. And based on Jim's reaction to him, he's either horny or he feels bad for Mailer. I'm not sure yet.
And honestly, this zombie on a leash is totally not going to backfire.
Definitely not. But I do actually kind of feel bad for Mailer. They have me feeling bad for a violent monster who can vomit a gallon of blood on command, Dave. That's some good filmmaking. And also, Jesus. I'm a little horny. So,
wait.
That night, everyone is eating a terrible omelet when Major West gives us some insight into how he's been dealing with the infection. Spoiler alert, he's a little bit of a nihilist.
This is what I've seen in the 4 weeks since infection. People killing people. Which, to my mind, puts us in a state of normality right now.
Ah, sick. So, like, you're into it.
He is also horny, Blake.
But before we get too far, the alarms are triggered and the troops take their places. The zombies are straight up storming the mansion.
You know, and I wonder if the alarm and gunfire is going to attract more zombies.
Listen, there's 2 scenarios here. They're either storming the mansion or they're meeting up for their nightly running club. I don't know. They're very unclear. It's very unclear how sentient these things are.
Fair enough.
Running club or not, the troops start mowing the zombies down, but it's kind of different than what we've seen before. Mm-hmm. These guys are actually having the time of their fucking lives.
Fucking hell, we bounced! I ain't never seen that in my fucking life!
These soldiers are straight out of the second half of Full Metal Jacket. They're just like so amped. And now they're horny. Jesus. One soldier grabs Selena, but is thrown off by Jim, who has a little talk with Major West. Here, we really get down to what these military boys have planned.
8 days ago, I found Jones with his gun in his mouth. He said he was going to kill himself because there was no future. And I promised them women, because women mean a future.
Oh, so the rapists.
Bro, excuse you? The only thing to give your men hope is booty?
This is not going to get any more fun.
No.
So Jim springs into action trying to get Selena and Hannah out of there, but he gets knocked on his ass and chained up with another soldier who disagrees with the tactics of everybody else. Remember the zombies? Mm-hmm. Can we do that part again instead of this one?
I mean, obviously poor Jim, but also poor Sergeant Deep Guy, you know?
Move. Come on, move, get up!
So the next day, Jim and Sergeant Deep Guy are marched out into the woods. The soldier in control of this wants to stab Sergeant Deep Guy, but his second in command just fucking shoots him. It allows Jim to escape in the confusion.
Just panic shoots him.
You stupid cunt! I'll fucking kill you, little
Where's he fucking gone?
Now, Jim is smart as hell and evades the men, jumping over the border wall where the soldiers think he's done for anyway. Mm-hmm. They don't even bother. And I'm certain this is not going to come back to haunt them in any way. Jim is lying on his back in the rain outside of the wall, and he looks up to see a jet flying by.
No, it's Superman. zombie Superman.
Or he's straight up hallucinating. I don't know, Dave. So back in the haunted mansion, the soldiers make Selena and Hannah play dress up for them, but Selena convinces them to leave her alone with Hannah for a moment so they can get changed.
Right.
I don't know why the soldiers agree to this, and it makes zero fucking sense, but they do.
Right.
Selena, she quickly grabs her like mobile pharmacy that she brought and tries to give them both some Valium. But the soldiers rush in, and right in the nick of time, a siren rings out.
Fucking Jim to the rescue!
Someone's on the blockade!
Major West and another soldier show up to the blockade where Jim is nowhere to be seen. That is, until Jim decides he wants to play a real-life version of Mousetrap and tricks Major West into a vehicle where he's attacked by zombies from the woods.
Right.
I wish they killed him, but he just runs off into the woods. Jim goes back to the mansion and he frees Mailer. Remember the pet zombie?
Yeah.
Now he's loose and that boy is out for blood. I'm telling you.
I'm not sure he's sentient, but
and he may want to meet up with his running club later. We don't know.
What are you gonna do if they don't come back?
Shut up.
While that's going on, two guys wait with Hannah and Selena, looking more and more nervous. But then one of them looks out the window. Peekaboo, it's fucking Mailer. I think Mailer's my new favorite character because that shit was the funniest goddamn character introduction I've seen in a long ass time. Just boop, hey. And then rams his face through it. While the soldier gets his fucking intestines ripped apart like Mailer's digging for buried treasure, Hannah and Selena waste no time in dipping the fuck out of there.
Right.
But they're caught pretty quick. Mailer, luckily, is doing some serious damage and turning soldier after soldier into more zombies. Jim makes his way back into the mansion, and guess who shows back up? Major West, who is majorly pissed. Shit continues to hit the fan as Mailer turns more soldiers, and Jim finally finds Selena, who's being held hostage. Jim goes full on sicko mode and brutally murders the soldier, smashing his head against a brick wall and gouging his eyes out with his thumbs.
Oh my god. Unassuming bike courier turned into a fucking badass real quick.
Dude, he's adapted to his environment pretty quickly.
And all it took was one time of trauma.
White people, am I right? Jim and Selena, they kiss as they reunite finally, and Hannah enters and cracks him over the fucking head with a bottle, thinking he's a zombie. But no, it's fine, he's fine. And the three of them book it out of the mansion.
Right.
Outside, they get to Frank's cab, but lo and behold, Major West is waiting in the back seat. He shoots Jim, but Hannah, high as hell on Valium, might I add, gets behind the wheel. She legit drifts the cab, plops it right in front of Mailer, who breaks the back window and rips this motherfucker out through it. Like, rip Major West, but also burn in hell.
Fucking go Hannah, too.
Dominic Toretto, eat your fucking heart out.
I thought you were going to say eat shit.
Also that.
The gates are locked! Just fucking do it!
With the three of them in the car, Hannah drives it through the front gate, and we get this really awkward freeze frame of them, and then a title, 28 Days Later.
Which, like, clearly they're doing another time skip, but, like, why is it that he keeps having 28-day comas?
Very specific coma length.
Right.
And as you said, we get the title card, but this is not the end of the movie. We cut to a quick montage of Selena treating Jim's wounds. Then Jim wakes up on crystal clear 35mm film, baby. No more digital video because my eyes have been bleeding for a while now, and Danny Boyle knows this and was kind enough to spend a little extra money and give us all a little reprieve. It looks great, and it makes sense thematically as well.
Right.
All three of our characters are holed up in this cute little cottage in the middle of nowhere, and Selena's sewing, but Hannah, she rushes into the cottage to tell them.
It's coming!
They grab a bunch of fabric and they rush outside to spread it out. We intercut between that and then some aerial footage when A fighter jet whizzes by, and we see that they stitch together giant letters that read hello. Not SOS, by the way, or like fucking help me. Just hi.
Yeah, like they could have done SOS 3 letters instead they did 5 letters of hello.
How they could have gotten saved months ago.
Right? They just, we have to finish it.
But as it appears, I guess they've been found. They've been seen, and they jump and wave as the plane passes by. Everyone smiles. Roll credits.
I have always liked this movie, but what's surprising me is that there was parts of the movie where I was like, actually, this part kind of sucks a little bit.
Dude, I never liked this movie, and I never watched the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I love this movie.
Yeah,
I love this movie. Oh my God, I
gonna.
fucking love this movie. After watching this thing again with like older eyes, I immediately understand why it's held in such high regard.
Yeah.
The story is like incredibly layered, incredible writing, especially for like zombie movies at the time. Like the violence and action come in like shocking sudden bursts.
Right.
And it made me really appreciate the fact that technology has come far enough that our phones now shoot cleaner footage than this movie.
Right.
Like there's hope for the future, Dave. And I think that's what this movie insists on. And I find that to be kind of an inspiring message considering some of the strife that we're all dealing with here in the modern world.
Right.
I really, really like this movie.
It's a good one.
I was blown away by it. And I understand why younger audiences, I'm talking to myself, when I was 13, thought this was boring because there's a lot of existential stuff and a lot of big questions that this movie asks.
Right.
And it's kind of hard to understand when you're really young. So it just felt boring.
I agree. I can agree with that.
There's a lot to this movie and there's a lot to unpack.
Right.
That you could take a real deep dive into this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. I agree with that.
But for now, we're going to leave that on the table while we take ourselves, I think, if you're ready, into our next segment.
Let's fucking do it, man.
Movie versus movie. Welcome to the Thunderdome. This place fucking rules.
All right, Dave. I've gotten back from the doctor. I've gotten checked for a lot of blood diseases, and I'm positive for all of them. So we got to get through this really quick. I have no idea what's going to happen to my body here soon.
Totally.
So before we get into these movies, Dave, you and I, we decide on 5 things that we both agree make a good genre movie.
As per usual.
In this case, zombie movies. So let's go through them, okay?
Totally.
Number 1. A zombie movie has to have horrifying zombie design.
Are these motherfuckers going to give you nightmares?
Number 2, we need a world-changing pandemic or disease.
Is everyone going, fuck?
Number 3, we need a believable government or authority response.
Are the powers that be getting off their asses or not?
Number 4, we need empathetic main characters.
Do we want to be best friends with these fuckers?
And finally, number 5, we need a new world ending.
Are things going to be different now? All right, so let's just dive right into it, okay?
Yeah.
Because the horrifying zombie design in Train to Busan is genuinely horrifying.
Yeah.
The cloudy dead eyes, the blackness running through the now visible veins, and the erratic running style just sticks with you. Not to mention the awesomely terrifying noises that they make.
They're like... I wonder if they had like vocal training for this.
Yeah, I bet you they did.
Like, I do enjoy the zombie design for Train to Busan. I think it's great. But if there's one thing I think 28 Days Later might be really, really famous for, is its depiction of zombies.
Yeah.
These aren't your mama's rotting zombies of yore, Dave, okay? These monsters can run and leap and fucking rappel through glass ceilings and vomit astronomical amounts of blood. It's insanity, and it's fucking terrifying. But drilling down into the actual physical characteristics, like they have the blood red eyes, which is a major attribute, along with how they move, like all like jerky and out of whack and stuff. It's just scary. And Danny Boyle made sure to hire actual athletes to play zombies, by the way.
Oh shit, okay.
That definitely comes across. Like, athletes scare me, so that was just another level of fear for me.
Yeah, fair point. But I will say one thing that kind of is a little bit of a negative is how they looked a little confused at certain points.
Aren't we all confused, Dave, at certain points?
Yeah. I was just hoping that the zombie virus would make us not confused, but go on.
I mean, they can, Snapchat each other dick pics and stuff. Like, we've established that they can do stuff. There's sometimes they get a little confused.
Right.
Because what brought about this whole thing was a world-changing pandemic or disease.
Flawless.
I'm so good at these segues. It's crazy. And speaking of, I think what really makes the rage virus, stupid name, so notable is how fucking quickly it can spread. I mean, 10 to 20 seconds after infection is how long it takes. Not to be like too dark here, but that's not even enough time to off yourself.
Right.
Truly.
Right.
But considering how fast it spreads, it makes total sense that by the time Jim wakes up, everyone is gone and the city's empty. And I mean, like, that's a terrifying concept in and of itself, especially with the way it's presented. So this really stuck with me because we're kind of seeing the aftermath.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you on much other than that the fucking thing starting from monkeys feels a little weird because they injected them with a thing. It felt a little convoluted, just a touch.
But I think the point of world-changing pandemic is more focused on how it affects the world, less of how it was created, because I think you're right. The way that this virus, this rage virus came to be is dumb.
Right. I'm so glad you said that because that sets me up perfectly for my argument. So even though we don't know exactly what caused the zombie outbreak in Train to Busan, we do learn through news broadcasts, phone calls, and government announcements that it is worldwide. And it's pretty clear that because of the violence, that it is, in fact, worldwide. It's not just this country thinking it's worldwide.
Right.
So we don't really find out exactly what caused the zombie virus in Train to Busan, which kind of negates how 28 Days Later does. So it makes it a more even matchup in terms of this world-changing pandemic, because clearly both of them have a very obviously world-changing pandemic. In fact, I would say that it might be more world-changing in Train to Busan than 28 Days Later because there's no jets flying by.
Yeah, well,
there's no places that look like that could not have been infected, you know?
You fucking say that though, but we don't even take a second in Train to Busan to like look up. Jim gets the fucking wind knocked out of him. He's forced on his back and to stare at the sky. He sees it. It was kind of a coincidental sighting, but I think it opens up the world outside of just, you know, Manchester and Great Britain in general. It's a big scale problem, and you feel with the jets flying by that things are going wrong on more than just the surface level that you can see.
Okay, well that actually perfectly brings us into our next point, because this is a big scale problem that a government or authority would need a believable response on.
Haha, good one.
And honestly, Train to Busan does this right, because it shows that some of the response has failed and some has been successful. Because listen, the military is dispatched, but they don't just come in and fix everything. It's more realistic that some of the response has worked and some has failed epically.
I get that, and I think we get a similar sense of things here in 28 Days Later, and I think that's what makes these two movies a great matchup.
Yes.
They're different, for sure, but there's a lot of overlap in terms of themes and stuff, and especially here with government or authority response. While we only get a taste of the aftermath in 28 Days Later, this totally makes sense based on how fast the disease has been spreading. The military on the ground never stood a chance, dude. Like, we get this pseudo-military group, but when you give power to horny nihilists with guns, it's probably not going to fucking end well for anybody. So I guess what I'm actually trying to say is that no real military response is the most believable for the scenario we're dealing with.
Right. It's crazy because the only believable military response is a failed one.
It's the absolute truth, you know, and not to be a fucking nihilist myself, but the only thing you can really grab onto within these things are the characters, but specifically the empathy earned from the audience from these main characters. We're talking empathetic main characters.
Totally.
I honestly think the characters are absolutely the strongest factor in 28 Days Later. We experience the world through Jim's eyes, who is a disoriented surgery patient, and without having experienced the downfall of civilization as we fucking know it, he doesn't have his guard up and therefore remains empathetic to other humans. His caring for others pulls Selena further onto his side, and after teaming up with Frank and Hannah, there's this like group of people you can really get behind and root for. You know, they're doing the right thing whenever they get a chance.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Even if at the beginning of meeting the father-daughter combo is a little off-putting and creepy. In general, yeah, you do get behind these characters and want to root for them. And with Train to Busan, even though at first Seok-woo is kind of a douche and a shitty father, when the pressure is on, he shows that he's actually a good person. And he does try to help as much as he can while protecting his daughter. And then, you know, that brings in the rest of our characters. Sang-hwa, which I fucking love. He's such a badass. Soo-an obviously is very empathetic because it's a child. You always feel for a child, especially when she's scared.
Yeah, oh my gosh. And she's letting the barbs fly, by the way.
Right. But all in all, every single one of these characters that's on our quote-unquote team of the movie, you know, which is pretty much everybody but Karen, zombie billionaire.
Right.
We would want them all on our apocalypse team, aside from Sukwu grabbing the mouth of a zombie. Because honestly, all of these people would, I think, be great in a new world, which is our next point, a new world ending. Even though we only see 2 survivors from the train make it to safety, we have seen that every other place they've been has been empty of people, but also swarming with zombies. So it may be implicit, but it's very clear that the world is different now as the movie ends.
Well, I think my issue with Train to Busan's New World ending is that we have the end and they get saved, so we have a climax, but I don't think we get a sense of the new world they're about to head into. I really like 28 Days Later's ending. I think it's earned. They come out of the whole ordeal as a family who works together and ultimately earn a new understanding of the world they live in based on the shit they've had to go through,
Right.
And that's not just with the zombies. That's a new understanding of human nature and how desperate people or fucking narcissists will do whatever they want to cut down anyone to save themselves. Although, I think a better ending would have been them just ignoring the military jets based on the shit that they've had to deal with at that mansion.
You actually kind of segue perfectly into the point I was about to make, which is this is a new world, right? That we're supposed to be ending into.
Right.
But if there's a fucking fighter jet, it kind of implies that nope, we're going to go back to the old world now, just with less people.
I'm not one to sit here and question fucking Alex Garland on his writing choices. I'm not. Nobody fucking is.
Honestly, there's not really much else to argue because our movies are basically on point with each other. So
they really are.
Let's just happen to the finish line because I think it's going to be an interesting one.
I'm excited for this one, dude.
Hey, look, we did it. It's the finish line. We're at the finish line. Can I go home yet? Alright.
Okay. Honestly, before we did this episode, I kind of had an idea of how this was going to go based on how my viewing experience of Train to Busan was.
Yeah.
But then hearing you talk about 28 Days Later, now I'm not so sure. So I think that you should go first.
Oh, that's funny because I was thinking the same thing and I was going to say, hey, how about you go first instead?
Okay, fine. So basically what I think... So I love both of these movies. I've seen 28 Days Later. It kind of has a weird special place in my heart because every time it starts to play, it reminds me of our fucking promo video that we did for our t-shirts back in our band days.
Yes.
Because we used the music from this because it was a Halloween style clip. So
totally.
It gives me a little bit of nostalgia on that point. However, I really, really liked Train to Busan. And honestly, I think our movies were pretty even in terms of each of the 5 points. I think they both nailed all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is just going to come down to personal preference here and just straight up opinion. And I understand that 28 Days Later was like a trailblazer, but my heart says Train to Busan was a better zombie movie.
That's a bit surprising. I'm not going to lie. I thought going into this, after seeing both, I totally thought you were going to pick 28 Days Later. Train to Busan is a great movie, and I'm really glad you chose it because I got to experience something I've never seen, whereas 28 Days Later blew me out of the fucking water. From top to bottom, it was like really atmospheric and paced really well. It's a really great movie. But at the end of the day, Train to Busan just fucking blew me away.
Wait.
It absolutely blew my fucking mind, and I can't wait to watch it again.
Hang on.
My choice for first prize film is Train to Busan.
Shut the fuck up, for real?
100%. I'm not fucking with you at all.
You reversed the fuck out of that one.
Dude, I fucking love Train to Busan.
Wow.
Like, fully encapsulates what the zombie genre is all about. It had everything, and it was action-packed top to fucking bottom.
Bro.
I watched 28 Days Later. I was like, oh, I'm definitely picking this. And then as soon as I watched Train to Busan, I'm like, nope. Got me.
Listen, you know what's funny is this is exactly how I thought it would go, but then I heard you gushing over 28 Days Later the whole time. I'm like, fuck, man, we're gonna have to do a tiebreaker again.
I thought this was gonna go the opposite way. I thought you were gonna choose 28 Days Later.
Really?
And we were gonna have a tiebreaker because I was choosing Train to Busan.
Well, I guess that's what we get for thinking.
Yeah, we should stop doing that. And again, I think everybody should watch 28 Days Later as well, but you should stop the fucking presses right now and go see Train to Busan.
Yeah.
Go see these. This is a good start to October.
Honestly, this was such a good viewing experience. I love both these movies. I would not have been upset if 28 Days Later have won, but I do think that we picked the right choice with Train to Busan.
I agree. You fucking threw me for a loop. I'm honestly... not lying here. I did not think you were going to go for a Train to Busan, but
wow,
you did. And once again, we fucking agree. Why are we agreeing so much, Dave?
I don't know, man. It's kind of like we have similar opinions. So that kind of...
This Venn diagram is looking more and more like a circle, and I don't like it.
Well... Hey, First Prize listeners, thanks for tuning in this week. Thanks for biting through these movies with us. If you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed making plans for the eventual real zombie apocalypse with us, consider subscribing to our socials. It's at First Prize Pod on all platforms, and that includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on TikTok and YouTube as well. Also, don't forget to check out our website. It's firstprizefilms.com.
Yep, we do this for free because I'm already flush with warm cans of Pepsi. But if you'd like to support us, consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts, or come hang out with us on Twitch. We stream every week, talking about movies, having some laughs, and chatting with all of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, join us next week as we scare the shit out of ourselves with these supernatural horror films.
Oh yes, we're talking about It Follows 2015 versus The Evil Dead 1981.
It's gonna be scary in more ways than one.
I'm gonna poop my pants.
See ya!
Bye ya!
Also, I'd like to point out that it shows a lot of growth that you have stopped giving me time to answer your guess what questions.
Yeah, I don't fuck around with your responses anymore. I just barrel through that shit.